Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're taking on one of the most dreaded subjects in school, grammar. We're going to look at how to tear down those old, dusty methods and give the whole thing a modern remodel.
Now, what's so wild about this quote isn't just what it says, but who said it. This isn't some burned-out teacher from last year. Nope. This is a philosopher from the 16th century. It just goes to show you the struggle with grammar is not new. It's a problem we've been wrestling with for hundreds of years.
Ugh, right? If that just sent a little shiver down your spine, you are definitely not alone. For so many of us, that was grammar class. Just you, a worksheet, and a whole lot of silence, trying to memorize rules and avoid that dreaded red ink.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll dig into why that old method, which our source calls Granny's grammar, just doesn't work for most people. Then, we'll dive into a totally fresh approach called grammar study, breaking down how it's structured, what the activities look like, and why it's such a game changer.
Okay, so let's get to the heart of the issue. The traditional way of teaching grammar treats it like a set of ancient, rigid rules you have to memorize. It's totally disconnected from how we actually talk and write every single day. The focus is all on being correct, not on being creative.
So, what's the big fix? Let's put these two ideas head to head. The old way, your granny's grammar, versus this new remodel.
First, we've got the old approach. And yeah, this probably looks painfully familiar. It's all about those lonely worksheets packed with dense explanations, done in silence, and having almost nothing to do with the actual, fun part of writing.
And then, the grammar study model comes along and just flips the whole thing on its head. It's about working together, being playful, getting curious, and connecting every single idea back to how we really use language to communicate.
I mean, just look at the contrast here. It's night and day. The entire philosophy shifts from memorizing stuff by yourself to discovering ideas with other people. It's the difference between a teacher saying, "Here's the rule," and a student asking, I wonder why the author did that. That little shift from being a passive rule follower to an active investigator, well, that's everything.
Now, you might think this new approach is just random fun, but it's not. It's actually a super smart, three-phase plan that's built around how we all naturally learn new skills.
It flows in this really logical way. First, students get immersed. They basically become language detectives, hunting for grammar and action in books and articles. Then they zoom in on a focus area for some deep dive, playful practice. And finally, and this is the most critical part, they transfer that new knowledge directly into their own writing. It's a full circle from just noticing something to actually using it yourself.
So how does this actually play out in a classroom? That focus areas phase is where the real magic happens. It tosses out the boring worksheets and brings in activities that are genuinely playful but also have a real purpose.
Okay, I love this one. Take an activity called Sentence Destroyers. What a brilliant name, right? It's a fun way to talk about a really powerful group of words. Words like because or although that can tear down a simple sentence just so you can build something way more interesting in its place. Let's see how it works. You take two basic sentences. It was late March, spring was in the air. Simple enough. But now you grab a sentence destroyer like because, and bam! Because it was late March, spring was in the air. The old sentences are gone, they're destroyed, but a much more sophisticated idea rises from the ashes. It's awesome.
And the fun doesn't stop there. The whole point is to make grammar something you can actually touch and feel. So, students might use physical word cards to build sentences. Or, get this, use Legos or blocks to show how grammar works without even using words. They go on scavenger hunts for cool sentences in books they're reading, or the whole class writes a story together. It's all about learning by doing.
Now, this new way of doing things isn't just a big shift for students. It totally transforms the teacher's role too. They go from being a lecturer to being something much more dynamic, something like a coach. This quote just nails it. The teacher is no longer the holder of all knowledge, the person with all the answers. Instead, they become a guide. They design the practice field, set up the drills, and then let the students get in there and make their own discoveries. So the coach's playbook is totally different from the old school teachers. Instead of just giving the answer, a coach asks great questions like, "Hey, what do you notice happening there?" They have to resist that urge to just jump in and correct everything, offering little nudges instead.
And maybe most importantly, they carve out time for reflection, because that's where the real learning sticks.
Okay, so after all this playful practice and coaching, what's the end game? What's the ultimate payoff? Why does remodeling how we teach grammar actually matter so much?
See, the goal here isn't getting an A on a grammar quiz. It's about something so much bigger. It's about helping students become truly fluent, confident communicators. It's about giving them the power to use language with skill, with purpose, and with a ton of creativity.
Ultimately, this whole shift from Granny's grammar to grammar study is about completely reframing what grammar even is. And it leaves us with this incredible question to think about. What if grammar wasn't a cage of rules holding you back, but a construction kit? A box full of amazing tools for building and expressing your very best ideas.